recipe of
I
secret.
always
Well, what seasoning
love
do you
some
use?
boiled peanuts.
Tastes like crab boil.
Here's what you do.
Zatarain's.
Okay.
Here's what you got 1 pound of raw peanuts, right? You can find them in Publix. They come
Yeah.
in 2-pound bags. You
Green
take 1
peanuts
pound.
sometimes.
Yeah, green, raw, whatever. So you take 8 cups of water and put it in your Instant Pot. 8 cups. Then you put that on saute, which brings the water to a boil.
Sure.
Once the water comes to a boil, here's what you do. You take 1/8 cup of sea salt, not kosher salt, sea salt,
salt.
1/8 of a cup. Then you take 1/2 cup of Old Bay seasoning.
Gotta be the Old Bay, yeah.
Old Bay.
And then you take 2 tablespoons of, I can't remember the name. It's a liquid shrimp and crab boil. You find it in the spice section.
Is
Is
it
it
Zatarain's?
Zatarain's,
Yeah.
right.
I call
Only
it-
2 tablespoons, not more. 2 tablespoons.
That's
And then-
powerful stuff.
And then just a pinch of red pepper flakes.
Yeah.
Throw it in there, mix it around, 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 mix it around. Throw the peanuts in there after you washed them in a colander or something.
Sure.
Throw the peanuts in there, put the lid on the Instant Pot, and pressure cook them for 90 minutes,
That's
an
good
hour
flavor.
and a half.
You did a good job on those.
And that's what you do, and that's
They're
a boiled
good.
peanut.
I don't want to sit here because I open them up a little bit and then I suck all the juice out of the thing and then I eat. Me and my wife, we look like animals when we eat these things. You know, like a fucking gorilla. I'm just.
And they'll keep you regular. I'm telling
Do
you.
they?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
yeah.
they had anything to do gastro.
And they're
Oh, that
full of,
crab
I
boil
keep
will
telling
do
my
that.
wife, because she says they're yash. They said, well, they're full of antioxidants and
Didn't know that.
and flavonoids. Boiled peanuts are more nutritious for you than just a regular roasted peanut, believe it or not.
Really?
They're good for you.
Huh.
Well, there you go.
Now, Jim, I wanted to ask you this during the gentleman's guy. We ran out of time, but
Ooh, I'm getting a kickback spice on that. It's good. Those
Yeah,
are
it's got
good.
some
They
heat.
are good, aren't
Those
they?
are good.
out of all your travels,
Thank you again for the
Yeah.
gift. My wife will eat every
Yes.
single one of them.
out of all your travels, Jim, what was your most fulfilling travel that you've done?
Adventure, trip, whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Whales on horseback.
Was it Wales on
Oh,
horseback?
she's in the chat room. Babe, you can eat the nuts.
What is that? What is that like? Explain what you did and what, like, how it felt after.
Well, it must be, you go to a dude ranch or whatever, out, excuse me, out west, and you get on a horse.
When
you
was
know,
this? Your trip to
4
Wales?
years ago, maybe
Okay.
4
Okay.
years ago. And I'd been riding maybe for about 15 years. I didn't take up riding until I was in my mid-50s
Okay.
What?
because it was something I wanted to learn
Wow.
how to do.
That's
And I
cool.
think I got pretty good at it. So we started taking these trips overseas. We went to Ecuador, we went to France, we went to Canada, and these are essentially, you'd go out, you'd ride all day. And it's not, you'd ride, you gallop, you'd canter, you do all this kind of stuff, and then you go back to the farmhouse.
How
or-
far? How much length would you say are
Oh,
you
jeez,
riding?
I have no idea.
Because I always
there-
wondered what the limit on a horse would be. Like, okay,
How far you go, you mean?
Yeah, like how long can I go?
pretty far.
Pretty far.
If you're not
Yeah.
experienced, that's
Yeah.
a tiring experience.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
So
you're using
in,
muscle.
so in
Yeah.
Wales, we
First-
caught up with this place in Wales, and the
Nice horse.
horses were great. It's not Western riding. Western riding's a different type of riding. You use English saddles, which are a lot smaller. That's how I learned how to ride, on a smaller saddle.
Gotcha.
If you want to learn how to ride a horse, if you have kids, always start them off English, because if they can ride English, they can ride Western. You start somebody off with Western, they won't know what the hell they're doing.
It's
on
because
an English
is it
saddle.
because English has
Really?
a tighter saddle, a smaller saddle?
It's small. So if you go from large saddle, Western saddle, to a small saddle, you freak out. If
Gotcha.
you learn how to ride on a small saddle
Oh wow.
and then move to Western, it's no big deal. It's like, geez.
Do any women
So it's like butt plug.
ride side
You start
saddle
with
at
the
all?
small.
I'm sure they do. But
It's like a butt plug. You start with a small, you work your way to the mondo.
Exactly.
The mega.
So and when we were in Wales, and the way that they would operate is you go out and you'd walk, and you from town to town of this, and then you go up maybe into the mountains, and you'd not trot, you'd gallop. And you might gallop 3 miles.
Wow.
And that's as fast as you can get the horse to move.
Wow.
And of course, the guy who's leading, he's always in front. And the horses have been doing this forever. So, and I mean, it's just hell bent for leather. It's the greatest thrill
bet.
in the world. There was one portion where, you ever seen the Robin Hood movies? They're way down in the woods, and they're gullies and vines and this and that. There are pathways through there, and you'd follow the leader, and she would go as fast as she could. It's like a stock car up on a curve. The horse would be going so fast, they'd be going
Oh
on
yeah,
this
yeah,
curve,
yeah.
and the sparks you'd see the horse in front of you. The sparks would be coming off their horseshoes on the rocks.
Really? Ooh,
It's
never even thought about that.
fascinating, and you're just this. It's for me. It was the greatest thrill. We spent 2 weeks there, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Do you ride then come back to like a home base
Yeah,
and like a
big-
hotel?
yeah, you have dinner and whatever, and shoot the
That sounds
shoot
Was
the,
it exhausting?
shoot the shit with other people,
Yeah.
and
Like-
then the next day, boom, you're out again.
Were you tired out every day? I mean, was it exhausting to ride like that daily?
Now, if you ride a lot,
And this
we
is
had
you
ridden
and
a
your
lot.
wife, correct?
Yeah.
Like, does she like riding as much or more than you
She's
do?
a better rider than I am.
Isn't
She's
that how
better
it
at
always
everything.
happens? My wife's better
That
cyclist,
and-
better
that
swimmer.
and
I'm better than everything.
fly fishing in Montana. Fly
Oh,
fishing in
right.
Montana,
Oh, that's
fly
gotta be
fishing in
great.
the Bahamas were the best.
What is the allure of fly fishing? Because I
The
like
hunt.
I like is it the hunt? Because I like offshore fishing
Yeah.
in the ocean, and
I like the
I'll
idea
fish
of
in the
being
lake.
in the water, though. Is that
Yeah, what's
correct?
fly?
with-
I've done other fishing. I've never done fly
But
fishing.
people say it's like they equate it to surfing as far as like that religious experience.
is.
Like it's like being.
What's
in
it
the,
like? Explain it.
It's because it's if you have a regular, what a spinning rod is.
Sure.
You just chuck bait out there, clunk, and draw it in.
Yeah.
With fly fishing, you have to cast a particular way when you fly fish. I mean, it's just a different apparatus. And the thing I found about fly fishing, other than the joy, of course, of finding fish, in the Bahamas when you go for, geez, I can't remember the name of the fish now.
Like
You'd hunt them down, bonefish.
Bonefish. Okay.
And then there's
flats.
So in the flats, and you could see them as they put their mouths down, searching for crabs or whatever. You can see their tails, and you'd have to track them. You'd have to hunt them.
You almost have to
sneak
target
up on
them.
them. And then with a fly rod, it's so gentle. Talking about
finesse.
talking about taking your. It's not masculine. It's not. Yeah, it's just. It's very soft.
yeah.
And you just land that fly right there. And when a bonefish gets it, all of a sudden, and the reel will go so fast it will bust your knuckles.
Oh,
It's just one of the greatest thrills, especially if you catch a bonefish or a trout on a fly that you tied yourself.
Yes,
you talk
you
about some
created it.
satisfaction.
And it's literally a fly.
But the thing about fly fishing I found is if you're out there, if you got to fish every day you went fishing would be very boring. But if you learn how to fly cast, and if you want to learn, I'll teach you. When you learn how to fly cast, you can have a perfect cast, and that will make your day. You're 50, 30, 50, 75 feet away, and you just draw it back and let it go out, and you'll say to yourself, it doesn't get any better than that.
Even if you don't
yeah.
catch a fish?
It doesn't get any better
Is the
than that.
fly the bait, Jim?
So you're mimicking, you're using a fly that you tied or
Yeah.
somebody tied for you that mimics the bugs that fish at that time of year or on that day or on that hour is eating.
Do you have to pick specific textures, thread?
Sure, of course.
So
How do you break it down by the hour?
And you made your own, right?
Because you look at what's flying around, or you're in the shallows and you pick
Whoa.
a rock up and you look underneath and you see the larva or whatever it is, and it depends whether it's a dry fly, wet fly. You would love it,
sounds
especially
mega
if you love Colorado.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of fun.
And you get out there, do you have to wade in? Do you always have to? Are you always in the water?
No,
when-
sometimes you drift depending on what the water is. If you're on a river, and sometimes somebody is drifting you down, a guide, and you're up there, and it's very spiritual.
How did you prepare
I
for
like
it? Like,
that.
how did you learn?
Let's do it.
I have a good friend in Titusville who's just world class.
He's the guy.
Really?
yeah, and he and you just learn. It's not terribly difficult. People think it's more difficult than
It sounds
is.
difficult.
It's not. I think they want you to believe it's difficult because the equipment's more expensive than something that you're going to find at. But are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
Yeah. See, I'm left-handed, but I'll teach you how to do it.
There's there used to be
so
a place
you get
right
an
up
idea,
here.
and you might say, "Okay, I could do
Yeah,
this."
it just seems fulfilling, and
sounds
that's
cool.
what I'm looking
It
for.
is.
Is a fulfillment of like vacation.
You're not known for your finesse, though.
No, I'm not. Very stiff.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a he.
Well, that that
will
will
help.
bring this out in you.
No,
You
okay.
talked about challenging yourself. That's a challenge.
I know.
I
Let's
mean,
do it.
To develop yourself and improve.
It's that slowing down and attention to detail. I have a real problem with that kind of thing. But I'm looking for fulfillment. And speaking of Colorado, like I went to Colorado. I'm trying to put my sons through this. I'm just throwing money at shit. And after I'm like, rent a snowmobile.
But I
too
get
expensive.
it. You're a new dad. You
Yeah.
want him to have a
But-
good time.
Of course.
And
But
of
none of
course
it's-
you're going to throw money at it. It's
but
just what you do.
It just
What did you throw money at?
like snowmobiling, the ski lessons, and all this shit, and I was just like, God damn it! Like at the end of it, I wasn't fulfilled, and I feel like they weren't either, even though they're too young or whatever. But I'm looking for like things that are like after I'm like, you know what? I'm better for it, and I learned something.
It's
and I'm
outside.
fulfilled. Yeah.
Number one, I'm looking for more outside activities. I wish I could yank the roof off this
Agreed.
fucking studio. I get so sick of being in here, and I
You
think it
got-
makes me sick.
You
I
gotta
enjoy my
stu- I
job.
mean,
but
you love your kids and this and that. You don't want to get to the point where you say, I don't know why I had you in the first place.
No.
Because
Said that last night.
so you got to
my
find
face.
you got to find something where your mind
Screamed
and
it.
your attention is taken away. You're not. That means you don't love your kids. You don't paying them any attention. But
Yeah, yeah.
you got to have something. You got to have something for yourself. I never had kids. I didn't want them because people say, "Well, you're selfish." No, selfish is having kids and not paying attention. To
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
Selfish
God.
is having kids and not loving them.
Yeah.
I decided I don't want.
Yeah.
I just wanted. I want my attention on
Yeah,
me.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. It's your life. I mean, like, that's how one of the things I hate about being a new parent is the new parents that shame people for, you don't know what life's all about. Well, fuck you. Yes, I do. I know what life's all
Oh,
about.
I used to get that. Yeah, why
different
do you,
for everybody.
Why do you have kids? And I said, finally, I just, I got my nuts shot off in Vietnam.
yeah.
And I go, oh, geez.
That'll
so,
end the conversation really quickly.
Yeah, you gotta.
That'll draw them back. I
then
love the idea of being
Then
so
invariably,
finite.
you got somebody who was in, but we're in Da Nang or Quezon, and
You're like,
what
ah.
unit were you with? And I go, I'm gonna get another drink.
Yeah, then you got to shut down. You got to be, I don't want to talk about it. It's too
Yeah.
brutal. You got to shame them a little bit. You got to be, I don't want to talk about it.
Just if you can
lot of
get a
children
tear,
were killed.
a lot of
just get
bad
little
memories.
tear
Yeah,
right
the
there.
village burned down. You got to go horrible, and then okay. I get it.
Not to
As a
start
guy with
Mile
a
long
lighter,
stare,
with
that's
that.
not a place I like to go.
Exactly.
Not to start talking about Vietnam, but during Vietnam, were you at the age where you could have gotten
Yes.
drafted and stuff? Like, okay, how
Weren't
was
you
that?
like a high draft number or something? There's a story behind
that. I was right in the middle. I was 1A. Like, it's a very, you think about those poor guys who were I mean, it was just a terrible, terrible time. And people say, "Oh, look at the country now. The country's so divided." You don't know divided as it was in 1968 and 69.
Yeah, we've only seen the videos of
You don't know.
But to experience
Chicago
it,
Democratic in '68, but
looking
that's
at a
not the same
YouTube
thing as
video
living
and
it.
being there's two.
And
exactly.
I
exactly.
understand the camaraderie, and I understand the involvement, and I understand Vietnam veterans, being really pissed off at the way they were received and treated when they came home. I truly get it. I understand that now, but at the same time, there's a significant, and it was so unfair. It's just poor men who are drafted. If you were in college, like, oh, you got a college deferment.
Yeah.
You're fucking college, and you can't get drafted. It's not fair. There's nothing fair about it.
Well,
But
also
if
the fact that not everybody could get into college back then, right? I mean, today there's a million colleges. You go to University of Phoenix. Back then, it was also not as many people in college, right, Jim?
But there's no draft now.
Yeah,
what
that
I'm
too.
saying is, if you had a draft deferment, simply because you were in college, you cannot be drafted. So if you're too poor or you weren't smart
Yeah.
enough or whatever it was, and you were
Sorry.
physically able,
Yeah, you're in.
guess what? You're drafted. We're sending your ass to Vietnam. Now, there was a significant number of men who joined up as well. They thought it was their duty, their responsibility. And still to this day, I've always said, the arguments that we have about Vietnam and the emotions involved will not come to an end until the last Vietnam veteran is dead and buried. It was a terrible, terrible time. I'll give you. Here's what happened. I was in college, getting ready to graduate. Was classified 1A. 1A is we can take you.
Really?
Yeah.
Went home to Miami. Talked to my mom. Said, well, looks like I'm going to get drafted. Nobody wants to get, especially if this is 1971, 72. All the the glory of Vietnam was coming to an end.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted
That
it.
was trying to get
Nobody
out at that
wanted
point.
any part of that. And she said, well, I just talked to, Mary and her son saw this lawyer and blah, blah, blah. And he's not going to be drafted now. So I made an appointment with this lawyer in Miami. I had $500 in my savings account. That's all that I had to my name. I sat down with him and said, I got $500. He took a little bit of information. Within a month, I was 4K or whatever. I was reclassified.
No
So what he
shit.
did, I'm sure, is he took some of that money and then he paid somebody off in the Selective Service Bureau to
Really?
change my classification. Do I feel guilty about that? To a certain degree, yeah. And then to another girl, well, I don't want to get my legs blown off.
Yeah.
It's just a terrible mix of.
What a horrible decision to have to make.
And there's also,
Yeah.
when we go back to that bullshit that we were talking about earlier, what does it take to be a man? It's that red badge of courage thing that men go
Sure.
through as well. Is you got to prove yourself, and the way to prove yourself is to be in combat. The way to prove yourself is to be in a situation where you survive, where somebody's trying to kill you. Well, that sounds good on paper.
Or your life's on the line.
until
Yeah.
somebody's
Yeah.
actually trying to kill you.
Yeah. It's
No, it's mixed emotions. I know the only thing that I came to this conclusion a long time ago about anybody who's been in combat is the last thing you do is ask them about it.
Yeah.
You always have that asshole out there saying, "Oh yeah, you kill anybody?" Come on,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, have some
These-
respect.
yeah, exactly. It just
I mean, like 99.9%.
because these
of the
guys
people,
don't want to talk about any of that
No.
unless they're with other guys who've been through the same situation.
Sure.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about it with strangers. They don't want to talk about it with family. They don't want to talk about it with their wives.
Yeah.
They'll sit at the VFW or the American Legion and talk about it, and that's fine, and that's the way it should be, I think.
Jim, I also wanted
it's up to them.
to talk to you about. I'm sure through the years, not to go back and talk about your career, but through the years, I was thinking about politicians and how corrupt they could be. And it's funny because I've seen politicians when I was wearing a bear suit and Makos I remember up on the top on a bear suit and Makos, and a prominent politician is
know
sitting
exactly
there
who you're
with
fucking talking about,
two
too.
dudes that looked like mafia dudes that were apparently owners of construction companies or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm seeing the quintessential
It's like watching The
corruption.
Sopranos. It's like watching
Yeah.
the real Sopranos.
And I didn't even believe it was happening. I was like, how are you sitting here openly talking to dudes that look like mafia guys with bottles and like Mako's girls serving you? It was
Yeah,
bizarre.
napkins blowing everywhere and girls with their asses hanging out.
And then I soon realized that it doesn't matter. There's corruption runs supreme through everything. But
you had run-ins with politicians in this town, though, did you not?
A few here and
You know,
there.
you guys
they
butt
were
heads
pretty
occasionally.
smart to stay out of my way.
Yeah.
A lot of them couldn't stay out of your way. I mean, you kept a lot of people in line for a long time, especially locally.
Yeah, I mean,
Did you ever have anybody try to threaten you or anything?
I've never had anybody
No.
threaten me.
That's probably a surprise to a lot of people. Like
Yeah, I
you
think
think
A lot of people curse you.
if you're the
sure.
if you're the guy in the megaphone exposing what people are doing, you think it's gonna be next thing you're gonna fish in your mailbox.
Yeah, you always try to. I wasn't successful all the time, but I always try to hit up. Instead of hitting down. Every once in a while, you start punching on people who, you say, they don't have any power. They're, you're just picking on somebody. You're putting the bayonet on the wounded guy when you ought to be.
It's like an old
you
comedy.
punch up.
Yeah, old comedy will always punch up.
Yeah, you always punch up. You always go after the guy or the man or woman. Doesn't make any difference who thinks they're a little bit more important than everybody else. That's the stuff I can't stand. Yeah,
That's
I
why
never
I punch
could
up to
stand
you,
that.
because you
Was there
think you're
anybody
better
like
than it.
locally, historically, that stands out as that type of person that you were glad to go after?
Not that comes to mind. I will, when I get back in the truck and head home. I should have said something about. Well, John Micah. John Micah used to be a congressman here, and there was some problem going on with a business
He was not a
here
fan
in
of yours, I
town.
think.
No. And
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
and I called him on the air, and rarely would I talk to a politician. And he started off Hey, Jim, how are you? Congressman Mike, how are you? Thanks for, spending a couple of minutes. Well, I'm in Washington looking out the window right now, and the snow's coming down, and it's a lovely sight. And I'm just thinking, fuck you. Fuck you. And we got into this, whatever, what are you going to do to help this person?
This is
it
the
was
fruit
a business
stand, right?
person. Yeah, it was.
I remember that.
And finally, I was like, in my mind, fuck you. And, I don't have any time for your bullshit.
Sure.
And hung up on him. His office called back. We're not finishing. Well, Jim's finished with you.
Finish now. Yeah. Not your show.
I remember that. That was, I think it might have been like Valentine's Day or something. I remember I was buying jewelry for my wife, and I remember you talking about it. It was an immigration issue about this family that owned like a fruit or vegetable stand.
On 1792.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love those guys.
They're closed now.
Yeah,
a lot of good I did for them.
Yeah.
But I think they had a sign that Eat More Produce.
Eat More. That was the name of
And
their.
it was
Eat More. That was the name of their
Who
business.
else has Eat More? Is Eat More Chicken? Who is that? Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A was giving them a hard time.
That's right.
What?
Yeah. So
didn't
you
know
can't
that.
use Eat More Produce. We got Eat More Chicken. And I'm going, this is a bunch of fucking bullshit. And he was going through some kind of immigration, whatever. So I called his congressman. So, can you help this guy? Well, Jim, I'm just sitting here watching the beautiful snow come down on the nation's capital. Fuck you.
It's true. Yeah. Why are you even talking
Sorry.
about that?
Yeah.
There's
Why am
poor
I?
Eat
Yeah,
More.
exactly. Why am I talking to you?
God, my wife and I used to love to go to Eat More. Man, they had great produce.
Yeah.
I remember that
now they're
lawsuit
gone.
too. That was garbage.
I didn't know I knew none of this. I knew that there was something going on. I was too busy doing something, probably trying to get this off the ground or whatever, and realizing that it got so big that, and of course, like you said, they're no longer
That
business.
call lasted about 5 minutes, Jim, but your discussion of it lasted about an hour afterwards, and I know the whole time, those people had their head in their hands. That
Yeah,
entire
guess what?
office going, "Oh no!"
Guess what? He's no longer a member of Congress. I'm not saying I was responsible for that. But their aides go crazy over stuff like that because it's just passed on. Like the boss just got his hat handed to him.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised he never got any death threats or anything like that.
That's not a politician style.
Well, I'm looking at it like
No, you mean you're talking about Jim?
Jim?
Oh, yeah.
Only one time
From
when I
muckraking as
first
much as
started
you
off
did.
in the business, I came. My girlfriend at the time, you got tears coming out of her eyes. What the hell's wrong with you? I'm living way out on Lake Apopka, believe it or not.
Sure.
In a house about the size of this room. Come look at this. And somebody had spray painted on the road in front of my house with an arrow leading up into my driveway and said asshole.
Did you take that as a compliment,
No,
as a source of pride, or as an insult?
I mean, she's getting on. So, okay, whatever. I think I knew who. So another neighbor came over and black spray paint. You spray it out. But no, I was never. When I left for work, nobody was waiting for me.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
Yeah. But you always kind of kept to yourself. I think most people knew that. Like you said, like.
But still, politics makes people pissed.
Well,
Yes,
I mean,
it does.
It does.
They go crazy.
But only did you find, because you did talk about politics a lot. Did you find in the current culture we have now, like on Facebook, it really only hurts you or the other person when you engage. Did you choose just off the air? I mean, did you just choose? I'm not going to engage in this. If you want to get me, if you want to call the show and we'll kick it around, sure, that's great. But if I'm sitting up at Fazoli's, I'm not gonna. No, we're not doing.
But
that.
nobody ever,
I love that
I
you
rarely
said
would be
Fazoli's.
out. But I mean, people were always. I mean, you really make me mad. But people are pleasant.
Yeah.
That's the problem with social media now.
Yeah.
Hey, you're so anonymous. Hey, you fucking
an
asshole.
amplifier.
This and that, whatever. And then they come around the corner and meet me and say, "Hey, I really enjoy your show. Don't agree with everything you say, but
Those are my favorite
We've talked
comments
about
when
this
you
all the
left.
time.
There were some that I would read on the Real Radio website that would say, and this is almost a verbatim, I'm going to tell you. It
These
would
are
say, like,
anonymous or have a
No,
name
it'd
behind
have
them?
a person there, but it would be like, I'm glad he's fucking retiring. Can't fucking stand him, but I wish him the best.
And also,
What
I
is
listened
that?
every
I don't even
day.
understand how you say that.
And that person also listened every day.
Of course
I can't
they
wait for him to
did.
leave, but I listened every day
Yeah,
for the last
fuck
10
that
years.
guy. I'm glad he's gone. His show was shit, but I wish him and his beautiful wife nothing but the best. I'm like, oh, are you?
There's some serious
bipolar?
compartmentalization there.
That's some crazy. You're a crazy person if you can say that and actually like and like
you always
latch
wanna
yourself
think,
to it.
Yeah, if you met the person, would you say that to somebody in person?
No.
You never,
No, because you'd be
no one's got
polite.
That's why I have nothing to do with that anymore. I don't have anything to do with Facebook, Twitter.
Good for you.
Instagram, and I really gave it up about 4 or 5 months before I retired.
You may be at the forefront of a trend there, Jim. I think a lot of
It's
people
gonna
are pulling back.
I think it will too.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think people are over it.
I'm pulling back, but not professionally. Professionally, I'm ramping it up, but just with me, I'm pulling back.
I used to be on the Twitter all the time.
Yeah.
And it's that pleasure point in your brain. Oh God, I got 15 likes on something that I tweeted.
Instant gratification, sure.
On PFD, 15 likes on that President Trump, blah blah blah, and then you get, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's a game that you're playing that seems like the satisfaction you're going to get out of it is the next to none, and you're like, God damn, it seems like way more
It's
negative.
not even real
satisfaction.
I'd
You
rather
know?
do 6 lines of cocaine now.
Well, you
Then-
can.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Well, the thing is,
absolutely
I can say
can.
anything. I was thinking about this when I was coming over here, saying, I'm at a point now. I can say any fucking thing I want.
Yeah.
FCC can't find
Nope.
me.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
can't fire me at work, right? I mean, there's no downside.
It's got to be a good feeling.
You
though.
can say whatever I damn well please. What are you gonna do to me? What's the worst you could do to me? Kill me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, Jim, you never had any problem with the FCC throughout your career, right?
Never.
Never.
I never
Rare.
got sued.
Nice.
I never.
God, that's rare.
And I was never filed upon by the FCC.
Did you see anybody who was?
He's sitting with one. I was filed upon by the FCC.
Yeah, but what happened?
And-
Like everything, it gets put in that
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
blender. I got an LOI. I still have it at the house. I have a copy of it. I got an LOI for something that I said. And they said, and somebody put in a tape, and they were going to review the tape and see if it was actionable. And that was the end of it. You never heard anything else? I mean, I guess they could come now. And say
I
something
wonder
like
how
that.
many people are actually disciplined.
I had one instance. Let me backtrack. Where the Secret Service came over to the station. Somebody called and said that on the air I had threatened President. Who would have been at the Bush?
George
I don't
W?
know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think it would
that
have
I
been
had
George
threatened
W.
somebody's life. What I had actually said on the air is something was going on. I said, in South America, they take politicians like this and they put them in front of a brick wall and shoot them. I never said so-and-so ought to be shot.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So so the Secret Service comes over, right? Jenny Sue Rhodes, the general, she's running around. The lawyers are coming in from Tampa, and I'm
boy.
what the fuck, all right, I'm coming in. Big conference table, her lawyers from the company, 2 Secret Service agents, and I'm sitting there. And one of the first things the Secret Service guys say, they were big fans.
No shit.
Of course. Yeah.
We're big fans. And they knew. I mean, they
just had to
knew.
check off the box.
They
Yeah.
said, we got to go down there. But, everybody's
guys
like,
listen.
settle down. Just settle down. I
Yeah.
know what I said.
We had an
Settle
instance
down.
on one of the cruises that we did when I was still employed by the radio station. We had an instance where somebody on the cruise had been assaulted, and this particular person happened to be a very good friend of mine. So she had asked me, would it be okay if I gave your name to the FBI? Well, I'm up at Veg Fest, that they have here in town,
Yeah.
and I'm fucking stoned to the bejesus. I'm just obliterated. I'm drinking some sort of shitty organic beer, and they're like, I'm like, sure, it's totally fine. Well, then she says, well, he's in the area now. Can you meet him
Oh,
now?
no.
And I'm all fucked up. And I'm like, yeah, I can meet him now. And we go.
Good decision making when you're stoned.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
my
of
attorney.
course.
And so I go back to the house, and the guy, first thing he says, again, he comes in, he's like, hey, those buddy calls you did back in the day, those are the funniest things I ever heard. Let's go ahead, let's get this done. I have to talk to you. I have to talk to your wife. Andrea, if you don't mind going to the bedroom, I got to talk to you separately. There's guys that totally listen. He's just going through the formalities. They all listen.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was hilarious.
And with 9 out of 10 of them, you're not going to get the ticket. But there's always going to be that one that's like, I'm going to take down Daniel Dennis.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I never.
No, I never-
not
Fortunately,
much
I have
to
a cross
take down.
I never had
Yeah.
any problem with anybody. I mean,
That's rare, and I think it just is a testament to your personality, because I think other radio show hosts get off on the fact of I want more fines, or at least walking that tightrope, or I want
especially in the 90s, right?
people that hate me. Yeah. I mean, shit. We know radio show hosts getting sued every couple months. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Sounds exhausting.
I think I had a little bit of an attitude that maybe people picked. I mean, it wasn't real, but it was. I think people, have that attitude. You fuck with me, I'm going to fuck with you worse. That's all. I'll find out. You
That's
screw
the
with
Elliot
me.
Ness.
Yeah, you screw with me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's,
the old.
my wife did that. Did I ever tell you that story?
No, please.
I'm in Savannah, Georgia, right? I love Savannah. It's one of my favorite cities.
It's a fun town.
There's a Roman Catholic cathedral there. Absolutely beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I go inside, looking around, and, lapsed Roman Catholic that I am, I take a seat in the pew. And all of a sudden I hear, somebody behind me, somebody's taking a seat behind me. And, I'm not going to turn around. I'm just, looking at the altar and this and that.
Taking it in.
All of a sudden I hear something to the effect,
Yeah.
They got a knife, you get a gun. You get whatever what it is where Sean Connery's talking to.
Yeah,
they put one of yours in the hospital.
It's my wife.
Yeah, you put one of theirs in the morgue.
It's my wife doing the Sean Connery thing behind me.
The best. I gotta revisit that movie. That's a great movie.
Yeah, that scene with
did
Bob De Niro with the baseball bat.
Yeah, do you know what? Have you seen that?
I can't remember the whole line, but she had it down pat. And I said, that's what.
That's why you love her.
That's another.
Right?
That's why you love him.
Yeah,
that's why you love him. And she put on that accent.
That's when you went.
And
I
I
know him
didn't
with
turn
the right
around.
woman.
I just sat there and said, "Listen, I'm in love."
Yes.
I'm in love
you're
with
in
this
Savannah.
woman.
That's great.
It doesn't get any better than that.
So your wife makes you laugh. My wife makes me laugh. That's how I knew it was the right person. Same
I
for you guys.
think all four of us have
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Always marry a woman who can make you laugh.
That's
You
right.
You can learn how to cook.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You can wash your own clothes. But boy, if you're with somebody who can make you laugh, that's worth the price of admission.
Absolutely.
100%.
That's probably the most wise A Gentleman's Guide information we've probably ever given out.
Absolutely.
It is important to find a significant other that you have humor with.
Man, you're in it together.
Yeah.
You got to through thick and thin. You got to have a sense of humor for that.
For sure.
And
life's so much richer when you can smile and laugh.
Well, also being able to travel with your significant other through not only good vacations or travel scenarios, but through stressful ones. Through stressful ones. That's how you really know that you're with the person that you should be. It's like, can we weather a storm together?
Yeah. Can we sit on a tarmac for 4 hours?
I'm a stressful traveler. My wife is not. My wife just settle down. It's
No,
gonna be okay.
really.
Well, which way? I want to go on the subway. I don't know what. We're going upstairs. We're going downstairs. We're getting a taxi. No, we're going to go back and get the subway. And she'll just go. It's going to be okay. Just settle down. All right, and we'll get back to the hotel. It's going to be all right.
Yeah.
Jim, I remember you telling a story. I think it was it one of your, was it Peru that you were in? Where were you at when you were on like the side of a mountain with someone? God, I can't remember.
I know where you're talking
about. How many sides of the mountain have you been on?
Yeah.
Which time was it you were on the side of the mountain?
What was happening? Do you remember?
I remember there was a guide.
Let's isolate the mountain.
And if goddamn, my memory's bad, especially
yours is typically pretty good
because I'm blending stories that maybe you've either told here and
the
on the
Vietnam
air.
veteran who wouldn't stop talking. My guide.
It may have been that. Yeah,
It was in Alaska. It was about 100 miles south of the Arctic
Alaska.
Circle.
Okay.
So I had this bright idea.
That's a good way to start
I
a
was
story.
in great shape, by the way, at the time. I was really good shape. I'd been doing these triathlon things.
Yeah.
35
be in good
pounds
shape to do
later. So I said, and I'm reading somewhere, hey, there's a caribou migration in Alaska. Hundreds of thousands of these fucking caribou are in herd, and you can go there, but you got to you go here and Fairbanks and Anchorage, then take a float plane.
It's like getting
and then you
Sherpa,
take another
right?
float plane,
Yeah.
and then you meet up in this. So this guide, and I met up with him. And he's a Vietnam veteran, was wounded in Vietnam, as a matter of fact, in the stomach.
Oh my God.
He was a great guy, but he wouldn't fucking stop talking. He wouldn't. And I'm we're in the middle of friggin' nowhere. And I'm thinking, okay, all right, I can put up with this guy talking, because I'm going to see hundreds of thousands of these animals, migrating.
Yeah.
I saw one caribou.
After you got all the way out there?
But you learned so much from him.
I'm carrying probably 65, if not more, pounds of crap, on my back.
Yeah.
You're walking through, muck and water, and It's okay, it's going to be
In the
worth it
cold.
because I'm going to see something that people have never seen. Most people have never seen, and I'm going to be able to see it. So I can go back, and tell everybody, oh, I saw the caribou migration. One fucking caribou.
Where were they? They just missed it?
I don't know where the hell
that
they
worth it,
were.
John?
I think I
have
would
no
be
idea.
so angry that I only saw one that I'd have to find that one and kill it. I feel like I'd be vengeful. at that point,
or write it or
yeah,
something.
right. Yeah, I have to do. Yeah, exactly. That's a nicer way to do it. But I'd be so mad that there's one caribou. I got to lasso this
Saddle
thing.
that thing.
Yeah,
Get me back to Anchorage.
Exactly. I got to do something.
Have you ever been to Africa?
Never.
No.
North Africa, Morocco.
Oh,
That's-
okay,
I was in
Morocco.
the Sahara Desert for 2 weeks.
Oh,
Never
really?
see Kilimanjaro is a mountain that could be climbed. Everest, you're putting your life on the line. That's some major stuff. But Kilimanjaro, that's like a hike, right?
A lot of people don't make it to the top of Kilimanjaro, believe it or not.
Have you been tempted on that one?
No, I've heard enough stories where people got sick along the way, but no. I'd love to go, but
Yeah.
What'd you do in the Sahara Desert?
I was on a camel caravan with another guy and 2 guides.
A camel caravan.
So we go into Marrakesh. I mean, it's wonderful.
Another good way to start a
because you
story.
hear the Muslim prayer at sunset.
Sure.
With the loudspeakers, and I mean,
Is it like what we
it's
think?
Magical.
Is there like tapestries and organic cloth everywhere?
Oh
and like
yeah,
old
and you go to the
structures and-
souk, which is the where you go down in these alleyways to buy things, but there's tourist stuff as well. But so we traveled across the Atlas Mountains into this. Jesus Christ! It looked like a town out of. You ever see the movie Beau-Geste? It's out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, yeah. Looks like
And
an
we walk
oasis.
in at night. This is the absolute truth. We walk in at night. The guys who drive us, and we walk in, and the guy who's in charge of our guys, he's on cushions. It's like Alibaba. I'm not kidding you. It's like fucking Alibaba. Where he's laying like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's got the hookah,
hookah,
whatever.
yeah.
And I'm going, this is unreal.
Yeah.
This is fucking unreal. And he's like, and it's a mess. The whole place is. It's a mess.
Party town?
Like, what do you mean?
No,
mess?
it's
Just mellow.
It's the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the middle of. I mean, this is not.
It's just some desert town.
It's
Yeah.
a desert.
And did he greet you? Did he get up or like?
Well, hi, here you are.
So he's like laying on his side,
and here are
smoking
your
a hookah.
guides, and they didn't speak English, and we don't speak whatever they're speaking. All of a sudden, they okay, time to go. They get me and my friend into this 4-wheel drive. They got the whole schmata, the whole thing wrapped around their, like their PLO terrorists or whatever.
Yeah.
With the checkered whatever, and it's around their head and the scarf, and and off we go. And I'm going, they're gonna kill us. They're just gonna
I think
drive.
it's hard for anybody that's not been in that scenario to not think
They're
that.
just gonna. We ended up in the wrong place, and they're gonna slit our throats
This is
or
what
something.
time? This is nighttime.
This is nighttime.
Yeah.
In the headlights, all you can see is sand dunes and whatever. So where the
where are you
fuck
going?
we
You're worried you're
going?
gonna be in a hole in the desert.
Does anybody
And
know
my-
you're there too? Like once they kill you,
Nobody
then
knows where we are.
You'll never be found.
It's not
Yeah.
like you can pick up your phone and say, by the way, I'm 15,
I'm dropping a pen.
Jim, what year is
185
this?
miles west of Marrakesh. Take a left at the sand dune. And
What year is this?
It must have been 10 or 15 years ago.
Okay.
So finally, the stop, and there's a tent, and we all crawl in, and
That was
it's
it.
time for nighty night.
Yeah.
So guide me, and then my friend,
That's
and in the middle of the night, he's like, Can you roll over and share your blanket? I'm freezing. So then we walked through out in the middle of the Sahara Desert as far as we could. And got a couple of camels, and it was.
How do you get a can?
Yeah, where do you get a
Yeah, I mean,
camel
you
in the
say
middle
that
of
Well, it
the
wasn't
you
like
say
I
that
had
so
to.
flippantly,
It wasn't
like,
like
we just got.
Well, they had camels,
and
the
you just so
guides.
you walk to like, is it like a stable? Is it like?
No, they just show up with some fucking camels.
and you get on it. How's it riding a camel? Like,
Awful. So you walk.
Yeah, you're a horseback rider. You have the comparison here.
It's very uncomfortable, and so you just walk, and you walk through the Sahara Desert. you know, and all.
And what are you eating for snacks and stuff?
They
man?
would cook.
Yeah.
They would
Oh,
cook
wow.
everything.
So you're eating
They
whatever
would
they're
bake
cooking.
bread. They'd make a fire and make a big flat bread and
Traditional Middle Eastern food and
Yeah, and you
like-
just eat. And
okay.
of course, you eat with your right hand. You don't eat with your left.
That's your poo-poo hand.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
poo-poo.
Except that you're left-handed.
I'm left-handed, but I was still aware enough because
Yeah.
you do some
Yeah, yeah.
investigation. You don't use the poo-poo hand, and so we were out there for
I think
couple of
I'm
weeks.
gonna bring that back.
My buddy,
I'm
my
gonna bring
buddy,
that back here.
My buddy had one of those French Legionnaire hats, the
With the
flat
flap,
one
yeah.
with the flap on the back. I mean,
Oh,
an
wow.
honest to goodness one. God, I was so jealous of that damn thing. I
That's like
really
so-
want.
As a
Straight
kid,
out of Ishtar.
my dad
There's
got
some-
me one of those because it was
Yeah.
like a skateboard thing, and it had the checkerboard on the
I
side.
remember that.
I had
Yeah,
one
it's
of
like
those.
a French
I
Legion.
wore the
Palpable
hell out of
vision.
that hat. Yeah, it keep
Yeah.
your neck from
But
getting burned.
it was a great experience.
That is like a true adventure.
Those
as
are
far
two
as-
great starts to stories. I was 100 miles south of the Arctic Circle.
Yeah,
that was the
that's
first
one.
start. And there was, I was in the desert approaching Marrakesh.
Yeah.
I was in the Sahara Desert
Yeah,
coming up on
either of those
Marrakesh.
I would read if I just downloaded the
That's right.
preview of an audiobook or,
Where-
or
That's
excuse
right.
me,
When
like
you-
a
Exactly.
book, you know,
when
from
you were
Audible.
riding your camel, was it Lawrence of Arabia type shit? Is like you're just riding through dunes and there's never ending dunes all around you?
If you got to the top of a dune and looked east towards Egypt,
Yeah.
2,500 miles away, there's nothing but sand dunes.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
can't
Is that
see
scary?
There's
air
not
but
a
sand.
building.
That's kinda scary,
There's-
right?
There's
Right?
not a build. The
It's-
neat thing about
It's like the exact
Yeah.
opposite of a cruise ship.
in the
Like,
Sahara, if depending on where the sun is, so you go to the top of a dune right here, and the sun is shining down. Let's say on this side.
Yeah.
You put one foot there, and it's warm. It's hot. You put your other foot on the other side of the dune where it's in shadow because the sun. It's cold.
Really?
No shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's like
cold.
Wow.
freezing cold sand.
And the sand is real fine. It's
Yeah.
it's
That's
not-
why they
Yeah,
say it destroys a lot of electronics and military equipment.
How
right?
does it
not like,
compare
uh,
with like the West in the American Western Desert? I mean, I assume you've been both places. Is it similar or how different?
I mean the sand.
Just the Sahara Desert versus Arizona or
Sahara, it blows your mind because that's all you see.
just
I
sand.
mean, yeah, you're not seeing a radio tower. You don't see a building. It's just dune after dune after dune after dune after dune. Really, for I suppose thousands of miles.
Sure.
How cold at night do you think?
It got really cold.
Wow.
Probably down in the 40s.
Cold enough that your buddy wanted your blanket. That's
Yeah, you wanted to snuggle too.
yeah. It's
I
not
was like,
naked and
what do
afraid.
you need to do? Scoot up. Come on.
Yeah, won't be the
It's all
first
right.
time. You know?
Yeah.
He was a
Shared
great
Valley Warmth.
companion. He was from Formosa, and he was a
Really?
martial arts type of guy,
It's got to have.
former Marine.
Well, that's always nice.
That's
We're
a
in a
dude to have
town.
with you.
We're in a town somewhere in Morocco. We stopped over, I think, on the way back, and people would approach you because they want to sell you something.
Uh-huh.
Like, so they're going to drag you to the store, right? And here's another. And so guys were following us. We're just walking around. All of a sudden, you see 5 guys following us. I go, oh fuck! Oh, here we go again. We're going to get killed. We're going to we're going to get our throats slit. Something's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm a nervous Nelly. What am I going to do? Stop pissing my pants, right? But he's like this, super
Marine martial arts guy.
ex-Marine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he had some kind of weird martial art thing that he could just do like that and you'd be dead.
Uh-huh.
And I said, I don't know what we're gonna do, and you could see him just stretching,
limbering
he
up,
was,
yeah.
He was just stretching and getting ready. So we finally go into you buy a rug. Yeah, you go. That's the only way to get him off your. You buy him a.
I love it.
But then you got to
get
carry
this
the
build up.
rug.
He's stretching ready for the
Yeah,
fight. You're pissing your pants. And you're like, fuck it, just buy the rug.
So then you're walking through the
Just
desert
going,
carrying
you
a
have
rug
t-
on your shoulders.
You have tea, and you sit down, and they try to, and they're masters at getting you to buy something.
Yeah.
They got all the time of the world, and they bring this rug, and then they bring another rug, and you go, what am I going to do?
So do you have the rug still?
Yeah, it's just a little.
Yeah, a little rug.
Oh yes, it's an antique rug.
Yeah, it sounds like it
Owned
means
by
a lot
the
to him.
Sultan of Shalom
It's a fucking
back
rug.
in 1400. Yeah, they got some loom back there.
Probably made in America.
Got 10-year-olds. 10-year-olds.
China.
Yeah, you flip
Yeah.
it over.
Yeah.
It says, made in Beijing
Yeah,
or some shit
exactly.
like
I mean,
that.
I'm sure you could get that antique rug there, but was that the one you bought?
Yeah, who knows?
Jim, was there any adventure that you went to go do because in your mind it was gonna be one way, and then when you experience it, you're like, this is shit.
Yeah.
That's
Or
what I
better
wanna
than you
talk
ever imagined. Either
Don't
way.
say this show. So only one off the tape.
I just like something you went to do because
Yes.
what was
What?
I went to New Mexico. You check. I was riding horses and got this idea. Geez, I'd like to find a place where I could go out west and do that cattle thing. And so I found a website, and they got a video up there, and cowboys are chasing horses through a canyon. You too can be part of.
After City Slickers.
Yeah, okay.
And they're hell bent for leather. I mean, and cattle and horses, and they're chasing them through this canyon and that canyon. You too can. So okay, this will be great. I'll sign up for that. I'm good enough on horseback. I can learn a few other
Sounds like
things.
something you'd be into too.
So I show up. It's out in the Middle East, New Mexico, owned by a former airline pilot. Or, I don't know. And it was
Not a cowboy.
And it was just he was a cowboy, but it wasn't. I know cowboys. I know Florida cowboys. This guy was not a real cowboy.
Gotcha.
He was a poser to a certain degree.
More like Dude Ranch
Dude,
style.
It was like more of a dude ranch, and I'm going.
That's not what you wanted.
So I got on the phone. It's a party line, right? So anybody can hear it.
Oh no!
It's like me, and so if they're up in the main house and I'm in a little cabin or whatever, I can pick it up. If I pick it up and call out, anybody could
just
hear
listen
it.
in. Yeah.
So I call my wife, because this is not working out. I call my wife and I said, "You've got to get me out of here. You've got to get me out of here. Please get me out of here." And she says, "I can't get you out of here right now. A hurricane is headed for Florida." And it was that same time. So I got to get I'm getting out of here. So I went back to these people after about 2 or 3 days. And I got to go see my sister up in my cousin up in Santa Fe. I think I'm going to drive up there.
I'll be back later today.
And I got in the car and drove to El Paso. I had to wait a day or two in El Paso, to get flight back
walk
home.
around, do stuff you've never done before.
I went to Wytheville, West Virginia one time because I was I learned how to drive a horse and carriage.
Okay.
And I got pretty
Useful
good at
skill.
that.
Whoa,
So-
that's a whole different thing, right?
Yeah,
Like-
well,
We've done
it's
that
another.
in Red Dead Redemption, but
And then I got
Yes,
into
yes, thank you, Steve.
into the racing thing with not trotters,
Like
not
carriage
that,
racing.
but yeah, there's a different. But anyway, so I got into that. So I go to Wytheville, West Virginia, to take a course. My wife comes along. Why don't you come to Wytheville with me? We got there. I think it landed in Richmond, drove to Wytheville, beautiful on the way in. We drive in and say, "What the fuck is this place?" It's the claim to fame is they have the world's largest pencil.
That's
Wow.
bad.
So I got we're talking about
a photo,
it. I'm talking
get a
about
photo.
where we're staying overlooked the parking lot of a funeral home. And there's no place to eat except for
Hardee's.
Hardee's or a Jack in the Box or something like that.
Clubhouse.
Yeah.
We got our picture taken under the gigantic. It really was a big pencil.
I mean,
And we got our photographs taken,
They don't
and you have that look, when you communicate with your wife, your significant other, and you don't have to say any words. It's just like, we're leaving, aren't we? We drove back to Richmond and got back same day.
No shit.
Yeah. Said, I'm not spending 4 days in
Well, you did
Wytheville,
everything
West
you could do.
Virginia.
I admire
yeah.
the fact that you didn't force the turd. Like I admire the fact that you and your wife are smart
Knowing to
enough to
bail.
go like, look, this is not, yeah,
This
exactly.
ain't work. This is not going to work. This is not working.
I'm not good at that. What I would have done is I'm like,
you would have buckled down.
I would have buckled down, and you know what? It would have gotten
see-
progressively worse because my attitude would have been progressively.
Well, I
worse.
would have been more, concerned about her. What the fuck is she going to do in Wytheville, West Virginia? There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, probably should have known better before we went there. But it's like, getting out of here. I'm getting out of here.
You've never done that, right? You buckled down.
Yeah, too awkward. I'm
done that.
too awkward to be like, I'm sorry. This,
Yeah.
To
Like getting
whoever-
on that party line and telling your wife, you would have never done that.
If I
right?
would have
Like,
known someone else is listening,
Yeah, yeah.
I would have been afraid to hurt their feelings. Like,
hello,
this
is that
shit.
Tom? Tom, are you whispering for your wife to come get you?
I have bailed too. Like you check into that hotel and you're like, this is not where I'm staying. You're booked there for a week.
yeah.
But I do feel bad, and I'll go to like the clerk and I'll make an excuse like, we're gonna have to stay somewhere else. We've got to check out. You
mean,
got to make some decent excuse so you get your money
You
back.
can't be like, this is a hellhole.
Do you send food? Do you send food back? I mean, if something comes to your table, it's
This
not
guy,
quite you.
are you asking me or
The
asking
soup's
Tom?
not hot enough.
I think you know the
I've
answer.
never done it.
I think you know the answer with Tom.
I just eat
Tom
it.
would never.
We've
send it
talked
back.
about this before. Tom has never sent any food back. Like, you could literally bring out some of your own excrement, like with sear marks on it, and give it to him, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'm not hungry. It's fine."
The waiter asks, is there something wrong with it? No, I'm just I'm just full.
Because you don't want
That's what
to.
you would
You
say,
don't want
isn't
to
it, Tom?
offend them, right?
Yeah.
Do you send back food often? What's your opinion on it?
No, but I mean, I've had food that wasn't very good. And how was your dinner tonight? Oh, it was good. It was like, you do that.
Yeah.
Why make a big?
When I
Nothing
was
makes
younger,
me
I would
laugh.
send it back.
you
When
didn't
I was
like
younger,
it,
I was
but
a little more
yeah,
aggressive.
you didn't like it, but you ate the whole fucking thing.
Yeah,
You know, it's like,
yeah. And if you want to make me uncomfortable, and I'm trying to channel this to you right now. Do you remember there's a guy that we used to work with who not only would send food back, but he was a dickhead about it, like aggressive about it.
Who was it?
He's still working there now.
No, come on.
Take a guess
That's
there.
it.
All right, that's
Yeah,
okay.
That's as far as
I
I'll
think you
go.
figured it out.
I'll tell you
after
off the
this is
air
over.
for sure.
But
do you
as I
remember?
matured,
And
I
he
stopped
would-
doing that.
He would be like, I asked for my steak medium, and you fucked it up. You're an idiot. Like, he would go in
Jesus.
on him. Yeah, it was too.
Wow.
It was just embarrassing.
No kidding.
And we'd all kind of sit there, like, you'd lose your appetite because you'd get so uncomfortable that you'd be like,
Yeah, I still have that. You start complaining. And, okay, we'll take it back to the kitchen. No problem, sir.
Yeah,
You know,
sprinkle some pubes on it.
Stomp,
Here's how it
stomp on it. Piss on it. Sling it against the wall a couple of times.
Yeah.
Put it in their armpit and squeeze a few times,
Yeah.
and shove it back at you.
Here's how it
this
works.
is delicious.
It's not worth it to make a stink about it. And if it is worth it, then you will be at a place that's good enough where you won't have to ask. They'll just do it. Like, really.
Well, it's like the time
You go to a good steak place.
my
You
dad-
don't have to say a thing. They'll just do it.
My dad went to his
I'll say
favorite
no, they'll do
restaurant,
it.
and he'd been going to this restaurant for years. Like, it was his favorite restaurant. It's called Down the Hatch. I think it's still there in Ponce Inlet area.
I know. Yeah, I used to go there all the time.
And he used to know all the waitresses by name. They knew him, and he knew all the bartenders, and he knew the manager,
By
and
the
all
lighthouse.
he knew all the cooks. Yeah, he knew everybody because he had been going there every Friday to get fried flounder and his salad for. I don't know, 25 years, 30 years, Like, I've been in that restaurant more than any other restaurant I've ever been in, just because of my dad. So he goes there, and he wants to have his birthday party, and he goes there, and it's just me, and it's Andrea, my wife, and mom and dad, and it's just the four of us having dinner. And he had been, spending his money there. He'd been good to them, and they, we pulled him aside. We said, hey, it's Dan's birthday. Could you do something? I know you have cakes. They were like, yeah, we got it. So they come out and they bring a cake and his eyes immediately light up because he sees them. It's a whole wait staff, everybody, and
nice.
and he's like, you could tell that in his heart he's like, they love me as much as I love this restaurant. This is a symbiotic relationship. It's so great. And they put the cake down, and they'd written on it. They wrote, "Happy birthday, Larry," on it. And then the whole fucking wait staff, chefs, everybody, they're like, "Happy birthday, dear Larry." And his heart was fucking broken. And he didn't say a word, and he just took it. He sat there, and he let him slap him with that Larry dick right in his face. And he ate his whole meal, but he was quiet. You could tell he's sad as fuck. And we got in the car, and he had his couple whiskey and cokes.
My name.
And I decided to drive. I was like, Mom and Dad, you drink, I'll drive. I must have been like, I don't know, 24, 25, something like that. So he's like, you just have a good time. It's your birthday. I'll drive. So I'm getting ready to drive him home. And he's sitting in the back of the car. And I hear the window go down. And my dad takes the fucking cake out and says, "Happy birthday, Larry." And he fucking chucks it at a stop sign. He's like, fuck you, Larry's mad as hell. He'd been holding it in all night.
Fuck you,
He'd
Larry.
been holding it in all night. He just wanted so badly to be, but he was hurt. But yeah, so that's the only story. He held it in. He did not send it back. He didn't say a fucking word. But
Down the hatch, I used to go there. As a matter of fact, I thought about committing suicide one time when I was in Down the Hatch. It's in the middle of the winter. I'm coming through Ponce Inlet. I got pulled over by the Ponce Inlet Police Department.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Neither did I. That's why I was speeding. So they gave me a ticket. So I'm in a foul mood. It's cold. It's like a day like this.
Yeah.
I'm with a bunch of buddies. And we're going. There's nobody in the Down the Hatch. And I'm sitting there, I'm stewing about this ticket. It's cold. This is not fun. You ought to be down the hatch when there's a breeze and the sun's out. People
yeah.
The looking girls are in their bikinis. So I'm sitting there, and Freddie Fender. Remember that Wasted Days and a Wasted Night?
Yeah.
That song must have played 25 fucking times on the jukebox.
Somebody really wanted to hear it a lot.
And it was like, I'm gonna blow my brains out. I'm gonna blow my fucking brains out if I hear this song one more time. I'm really in a real shitty mood. Oh, why did Jim commit suicide? Freddie Fender.
Yeah, that song over. And they did have a jukebox, because Dad would give his money to not annoy him
and
anymore.
over and over.
I didn't know anything about it. I could buy, songs. They give me a couple bucks. I go through there. I was like, I got Kenny Rogers. I'll play that. I don't know anything. I'm a kid.
Well, Jim, thanks so much for
my pleasure.
doing
It's
this.
fun. It's always fun.
For burning stories, man. It's always fun. Thank you for the peanuts.
Sure.
My wife is freaking out.
The nuts.
In fact, now you have a peanut off between our Twitch manager, Juan, because he made peanuts
a
couple weeks ago, and then you made peanuts, and then he wants to see what are better because he'd never made them before. I know you've made them. I can attest that these are damn fine peanuts. So these will probably be consumed tonight because my daughter also likes them as well.
I'll watch it. I'll keep on the crapper for a couple of times every day. I'll tell you that. I mean, that's...
Steven, we didn't plug much on the other show.
We're fine. We're just hanging out with
We're
Jim
just
Phillips.
hanging out. I'll let you take us out, buddy.
Well, guys, we'll definitely invite Jim back in to just shoot the shit.
I am going to take this video.
Anytime.
I'm going to condense it, and I'm going to take this whole thing, and I'm going to release it on YouTube so people can watch it.
Oh, cool.
Because I know people have been asking about doing that, and if you're okay with that, Jim,
sure, fine with me.
I'll edit it and make it pretty, and then put it out there for everybody to watch. So,
yeah,
cool.
100%. Guys, we'll see you on a corporate time.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching Twitch.
Friday
Bye,
free
guys.
show coming up, and I like this bonus show with Jim. We'll be definitely doing it again.
Yes, sir. And see you later.